Have no fear, the digipreneur is here. Keron Rose, he joins us on the Zoom line. He continues his adventure out there in Asia, and I could tell based on his background, he's back. You're back in the high rise. You're back in the apartment, my friend. You're back home.
I'm back home after a week of adventure. It's good to be back home.
And I would imagine that's what's going to, I guess, guide today's conversation, because we're dealing with services, we're dealing with experiences, being able to enable this product that is tourism. And it's one that I think here in Trinidad, when we speak of diversification, it's a low-hanging fruit, but for some reason we have never truly been able to unlock its limitless potential. Walk me through some of the experiences and what can drive tourism, and as it pertains to Trinidad. Let me find out about your experience there and then what we could take from that for the Trinidad and Tobago model.
Yeah, absolutely. So globally right now, there has been a drastic change in how everybody is going about their travels, right? People are now going to do more experiences, and they're basing their entire trips and vacations off of where they can get these types of unique experiences. People are not just going to sit on resorts as much as they were. That's actually trending downwards. And what has been exploding over the past couple of years, especially since post-pandemic, is people booking their trips based around experiences. So, for example, I was in Railay Beach last week, which is in the southern province of Thailand. And all of the activities that I did, and the reason why I ended up at that location was I wanted to do some snorkeling, I wanted to do some island hop. There was some particular things I wanted to do, and where I was on that particular island, I was able to now have multiple experiences, and I was able to book everything through a platform called GetYourGuide. So when I was just doing these activities, and of course you're meeting people from all over the world, the one big thing I've noticed is that nobody speaks about hotels anymore. You're on these trips and everybody is recounting who did skydiving off of this cliff in this country, who did this cultural tour through this village in South Africa. Everybody's recalling the experiences that they're having across the world. You're just hearing less and less people even talking about the hotels, which is big because we know that right now we're trying to position, another major project to try to come to Tobago, and hopefully that, solves our problems. But the reality is that this experiences is what is driving tourism moving forward, and that is something that we need to start tapping into.
Well, what's interesting, one of our biggest selling points, and I guess it's where we get the most with the arrivals, the uptick is around Carnival, and that in itself is an experience. And I've recognized that there are many taken to the social media, and they're offering Carnival concierge services. And that's a real growing industry. That did not exist when I was growing up. So, that's another way that people could use the already existing tech and the spectrum that is social media and the World Wide Web to attract folks and give them an experience. That's a good look. It's creating employment. I know many people doing that now, Keron Rose.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Now we need to start thinking about a 360 holistic strategy to tourism and getting out of just Carnival, because the reality is there's still a lot of people around the world who are not going to come for that. But we have all of these other things that we can start to promote. So even when I'm scrolling through some of the key platforms like Viator, GetYourGuide, and also Airbnb Experiences, when I put in Trinidad and Tobago and I compare it to some of the other islands, we barely have a presence on the top 3 leading platforms that offer experiences. So I'll give you an example. GetYourGuide, which is how I've been booking all of my tours and stuff and my experiences. GetYourGuide, there's only 65 experiences listed in Trinidad in comparison to over 600 unique experiences in Jamaica. When we look at a platform, the number 1 platform for experiences right now, Viator, there's only 200 experiences listed in Trinidad and Tobago. People, when you look at other countries, you are seeing thousands of activities. From the smallest activities, it could be an all-4 games night. That's just a weekly thing. But you're seeing a wide range of different types of experiences. And because this is what is driving tourism now, this is something that collectively we need to start thinking about and strategizing for and start positioning ourselves on the places that people are going to book their experiences on.
Would you say, and again, not to bring the controversy of Christmas lists into the discussion, but what you did was an experience, and I recognize there are people traveling, going to the world. I was watching up till last night, a man went to Peru into a wet market. They're selling alligator and anaconda. And I mean, when I tell you, the works, and there are people taking trips to try to get in and experience that kind of the real ground roots, the belly of the nation, really. Is that also an experience?
Yes. You've nailed it, right? You've nailed it. All of these things, there's different strokes for different folks, right? And even when you're going around to a lot of these places, like, again, I was in Rayleigh Beach. Rayleigh Beach is currently ranked the number 9th best beach in the entire world. There is no big name resort on that island. It's smaller boutique hotels. What is happening also, now, there's a couple of stats I wanted to signal out, right? Right now, according to McKinsey, they did a study. McKinsey did a study on the U.S. travel market, right? 52% of Gen Z travelers are splurging more on experiences versus 29% baby boomers that they're still going to the resorts and not doing experiences as much. But again, their baby boomers are at that age where they just want to relax. But the younger generation wants to get out there. So they're spending less money on hotels, more money in experiences, and those experiences can be wide ranging. I'm booking a tour right now in the Philippines, and it's on whale watching, and it's a 12-hour tour through different fishing towns where we end up whale watching, snorkeling, and doing a bunch of different things. But even when you look at some of the comparative activities in Trinidad, some of the costs to do, like there's a snorkeling experience I'm looking at, it's only 4 hours, but to snorkel off the North Coast and eat barbecue is $300 US. Versus I'm paying $60 US for a multi-town, full day activity where we end up watching whales. So these are some of the things that we're really gonna have to look at if we want to start attracting people to TNT.
Is the cost factor so high because you think it's niche in Trinidad? It's not, let's say, a mass appeal? Because I'm sure there were many lining up to be part of your snorkeling experience out there in Asia.
So here's the next interesting thing, right? So when I look at the reviews and the ratings, for the most part on GetYourGuide, when we look at the 65 activities, there's only one activity that has 10 ratings and the rest of them barely have one. But then you look at some of the other countries like Jamaica, and the majority of their activities have 100+ reviews. So you know people are attending these things. I think what has to happen with us is we also need to start really looking at our prices. I understand that, we're accustomed that when foreigners come in, we're accustomed to just overcharging, right? We really need to look at our pricing structure because, again, if Gen Zers who aren't making as much money as the older generation, and if they're prioritizing experiences, booking cheaper hotels, booking Airbnbs, spending less on accommodations and more experiences, but now you're giving experiences that are, $300 US, but it's a 4-hour package. Again, I'm not saying you can't charge $300 because there's experiences here for as much as you want to pay, but it's the value. When I look at the value of what I'm getting, if I'm paying 60 US over here and I have an entire day, it's hard for me to then look at something where it's a 4-hour and all I'm doing is just snorkeling off the North Coast and eating barbecue and paying 300 US and feeling like there's value there. And that is how a lot of the tourists are thinking now when they're looking at booking these experiences.
So I had some family in from DC. My cousin Tara came in for Christmas and we took her to Paramin. And I think Paramin, the residents in Paramin, they have struck on a really amazing business
Absolutely.
model. So I applaud Paramin, and it was very reasonable. We were able to go by the lookout, we got breakfast, then we went to some cave. I didn't know Paramin had a cave, and then you had a wine tasting. And it seemed like the villagers and everybody, it was part of a bigger ecosystem.
That's another big benefit to the experience tourism is that now more money is going into local communities and the money is not leaking out of the country, going to all of these big name hoteliers, right? Remember, as much as you want to bring hotels like the big boys, you want to bring them, there's still money that has to go out to them. However, if we start to drive, and I'm not saying hotels are bad, I'm not saying resorts are bad. No, there's just a change in habit that we have to start adapting to. So if the younger generation is spending more money on experiences, we need to start figuring out how to right-size experiences. Take a look at our cultural identity. What are the types of experiences? JW, you just named one. I don't know if I could find a Paraman trip on any one of our platforms. Like we'd have to go and look. But again, I'm saying that to say these are the types of things that people would want to do, and we have to, one, price it correctly, price it right, give them value for their money, give them that experience, and then we have to start learning how to promote our experiences, because it's not enough just to list on these platforms. We also have to learn how to market these experiences. But again, the platform's going to do their job, because a lot of us are using platforms like GetYourGuide, Viator, and the likes, and we're booking our entire itineraries and the countries we go to based on the experiences that we can have. Because lastly, I'll say this: part of the reason for more experiences that are on the climb versus resorts is that people are also traveling for personal development and self-transformation. They want to do these experiences. They want to go to these countries because it's for personal development as well, to help them on their journey. So they're not just staying in these hotels anymore.
Wow, amazing. You know, it's a shifting tide, and I'm happy we're having this very important discussion again, how experiences and services drive tourism. Keron, Rose, have a safe one. God spare, we'll touch base again next week, Tuesday.
Take care, Jason. Next week.
Digipreneur, have no fear. Always here with us. Keron Rose bringing it real. Up next, Conversations on Cancer. Dr. LeBlanc joins me, and we're dealing today with mental health awareness as it pertains to a cancer diagnosis. And I know Dr. LeBlanc will walk us through and give us words of hope and inspiration. Dr. LeBlanc next.